The loudest whoop I've ever heard in my life rips out just outside the window, about 30 feet in the woods. He had let me know ahead of time that he had some bear activity going on. So I was setting up some cameras just on the outside of this Sprinter van, or it's not a Sprinter van, it's a Sportmobile. So it's like a converted van that has a pop-up bed and whatnot in it. So I was setting some game cameras up on the back of it. And there was a strong warm wind. It was in August of that year, end of summer. And I just had that weird feeling like something was watching me. I looked back, I had an iPhone 11, I think, at the time, and I hit the little flashlight on it, which gives you a little white light. I was using that to set the game cam up on the back of I was trying to hook it up to the spare tire. And I think I ended up going with the ball hitch and kind of tilting it up so that if, I wouldn't just get the knees of a bear, but hopefully, catch its face if it came over and sniffed around. So as I was setting it up, I was using my phone and I had that feeling, and I turned around and there were these two, I thought they were reflectors because my buddy's driveway was pretty long, and it went back and it turned to the right a little bit. And I thought, okay, maybe put those reflectors on his tree back there so that when you got to that point, you need to turn or something. But it didn't make any sense, even as I was thinking it to myself, because these were really up high, and they were like eyes. They were, they weren't spaced like
7 feet high. What do you?
But they were also a little bit bigger than they were the shape of those round road reflectors that you see on the side of the road driving at night that are off a little ways to the side, but they were white. And I looked and I thought, that's really weird, but I couldn't see anything else because, again, this is just a little iPhone 11 flashlight, but it's giving me eye shine from clear back there. And clear back there, the next day I would measure, it was about 60 yards back from where I was standing. So I went back and finished up, and I looked back again, and they were still there, hadn't blinked, hadn't moved. So I'm thinking, oh, those are two reflectors. They must be stuck to a tree back there. As I went to get in the van, I looked back one more time with that flashlight, and now those reflectors were gone. And I didn't know what that's weird. I took a step back, but my friend was already a little bit weary and nervous about being out in the boonies and sleeping in this place. So I was going in to make sure she's going to be all right. And it was warm. That wind, it was the end of August. So it was really kind of a warm wind. And so we opened up the little side window and there's woods. So we coming in his driveway, it's woods. He's up there about 2,000 feet up in the mountains. And so it's mountains and woods. And within 5 minutes of seeing those reflectors, quote unquote, the loudest whoop I've ever heard in my life rips out just outside the window, about 30 feet in the woods.
Oh, man.
And she kept talking. We were talking about something. And she just kept talking. I said, shh. She says, no, I don't want it to hear us. And as soon as she was saying that, a whistle responds, two-toned whistle. So there's this loud singular whoop. And then about a quarter mile up in the woods, a two-toned whistle comes back. And immediately on top of that, about a mile and a quarter or so deeper to that direction in the woods, there's that weird, but it sounded metallic, or sounded like, when we were kids, you mess around, you talk into a fan.
Mm-hmm.
It had that quality, but not that I am your father, Darth Vader kind of thing that you might do.
Yeah.
It was more like, I don't know, vibrational. It sounded like a machine was doing samurai chatter, if that makes any sense. Like a metallic little bit of but metallic. It was weird. And then all the chickens and dogs and everything started going nuts, pretty much kind of in sync with responding to the whoop and the whistle. And so hearing that last bit was mixed with the animal sounds. So I'm not sure if I heard it absolutely clearly, but that's my recollection of that. The third sound sounded like, again, another individual responding, but whatever its response was distinct from the whistle and the whoop. And it was something, again, never heard anything like that before in my life. So
why am I picturing a didgeridoo sound? Kind of, I don't know why.
It was kind of that throat singing.
Yeah,
it was kind of like throat singing. If you could throat sing through a didgeridoo, but with like more of a metallic, like a slight metallic. Mm-hmm. That actually didgeridoo is pretty close to the tone of whatever the gibberish was. So it was weird. And again, that was the weirdest. And we stayed up there for a few nights. I got all kinds of weird weird stuff on that trail camera. Everything from what looked like orangutan hair arm within those 5 minutes of getting into the van. So something had come up close. I didn't hear anything walk up, didn't smell anything. But again, that whoop was close. It was as close as I was to the first. The first one was probably the close when I was a kid. That story I told you back in Pennsylvania. I couldn't have been more than 10 feet from that thing because of the distance of a little bit of woods and then the steep drop, because it dropped from that higher point. So it couldn't have been more than 10 feet, but this couldn't have been more than 20 feet away. And
I bet that
big.
was
The next day I measured where those eyes were, and there was no tree. Like I thought, well, maybe something was up in a tree. My brain was trying to do the science level. Maybe it was an owl.
Yeah.
Because those eyes were bigger than normal. Like maybe it was an owl, and again, I was trying to see, like in my brain, I wanted to say it was those reflectors, but they were just a little bit too big. But the distance between them was not where our eyes would be, but a little bit more. It was just like if you started the inside of those discs where the middle of our eyes are. That's kind of what my feeling is in terms of how far apart those two round reflecting white discs were. But when I measured that the next day, because there was one branch on this bush that I could use, and I tried to take parallax into consideration from where we were standing, because it was 60 yards back, but where I was standing, it had to be all of 12 feet. I mean, and I'm glad all I saw was those two discs. That's all I'll say, because I didn't wear my brown pants that night.